Stop. Before you scroll past this video, pause. Because what you are about to hear was not written for the masses. It was written for the one who has been misread, mishandled, misplaced. The one who woke up at 3 a.m. not from a nightmare, but from a knowing. A deep, cellular, unshakable knowing that something is coming, something is turning, something that was held from you, by design, by delay, by the slow machinery of divine timing, is finally beginning to move. You didn't find this video. This video found you, and if your chest just tightened reading that, then you already know. This is yours. Stay. There is a frequency shift happening right now, and those who have been assigned against you can feel it before you can. They sense it in the way your name sits differently in their mouths now. They feel it in the discomfort they carry when they think of you. They felt it when they tried to dim you and realized, with quiet, creeping dread, that the light kept returning. They invested in your downfall. You invested in your elevation. And the universe keeps the receipts. This is not a motivational speech. Motivation fades by Tuesday. This is a transmission. This is a document of what you have already survived, what has already been sealed over your life, and what is already moving, quietly, powerfully, irreversibly, in your direction. Here is what they never told you about the chosen ones. The path is not straight. It is not comfortable. It is not applauded. It is forged in silence and survived in solitude. And the very things they used to bury you, the betrayal, the isolation, the closed doors, the seasons of being overlooked, those were not punishments. Those were appointments, preparation disguised as persecution. You are not behind. You are being prepared. The first thing you must understand, truly understand, down to the marrow, is this. Your suffering was not random. Your suffering was not random. The world told you it was bad luck. The world told you it was your fault. The world handed you a story where you were the mistake, the burden, the one who just couldn't get it together. But psychology tells us something different. Research by Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, the men who coined the term post-traumatic growth, found that the deepest human transformation does not come through ease. It comes through rupture. The chosen ones are not spared the fire. They are refined by it. Every loss you absorbed, every door that slammed, every relationship that dissolved, every moment you were left standing alone in a season that felt like punishment, that was not God forgetting you. That was God forging you. And forged things do not break easily. They held the weight of your pain. You held it too. And now you carry a tensile strength that comfort could never have built. The second truth, your isolation was divine protection. Your isolation was divine protection. The world called it loneliness. You felt it as abandonment. There were seasons, and you know exactly which ones, where the silence around you was so loud it had a sound, where you would look at other people's lives, full and crowded and celebrated, and wonder what was wrong with you, why you couldn't hold a circle, why people drifted, why even the ones who claimed to love you showed up inconsistently. Here is what discernment reveals when you are ready to receive it. Not everyone deserves proximity to your anointing. Some people were removed not because you were unlovable, but because the covenant over your life required a clearing. Research in social psychology, particularly studies on network pruning and identity development, confirms that high-achieving individuals across fields, from artists to executives to spiritual leaders, often experience dramatic social contraction before their breakthrough period. The crowd thins before the crown arrives. Your loneliness was not rejection from the world. It was selection by the divine. Third, they called you too sensitive. They called you too sensitive, too emotional, too deep, too intense. You felt things others couldn't name. You walked into rooms and absorbed the unspoken. You read silences. You noticed the thing beneath the thing, and they told you that was a weakness. They handed you shame for the very gift that makes you anointed. But here is what neuroscience now knows. Dr. Elaine Aron's decades of research on the highly sensitive person reveals that roughly 20% of the population processes sensory and emotional information at a profoundly deeper level than others. These individuals show heightened activity in the insula, the part of the brain responsible for empathy, awareness, and intuition. In other words, your sensitivity is not a flaw in your design. It is the design. You were built with antennae that most people don't have. You were given depth that most people can't access. They called it weakness. Heaven called it a weapon. And now for a brief moment of honesty, because even the most spiritually aligned among us has been here. At some point during one of your lowest seasons, you probably Googled how to become a completely different person and move to another country and start over. No judgment. We've all been in that particular search bar at 2 a.m. The algorithm knows. But here's the thing about that impulse. Even that was a signal. Even in your most exhausted hour, you were not trying to disappear. You were trying to transform. And that instinct toward transformation, even when it looked like desperation, was the chosen one in you refusing to accept a life that was too small. The fourth truth is one they will never teach in any school, any church, any boardroom. Your silence saved you. Your silence saved you. There were moments, and you remember them clearly, where you could have exposed them, where you had the receipts, the screenshots, the witnesses, where you could have burned it all down and watched them answer for what they did. But something in you chose silence, and they read that as weakness. They thought your restraint was fear. They thought your quiet was emptiness. But emotional sovereignty, the ability to hold your power without performing it, is one of the rarest and most spiritually advanced capacities a human being can develop. Research on self-regulation, particularly the work of Roy Baumeister on willpower and restraint, confirms that the capacity to not react, to hold your response, correlates with higher outcomes across virtually every domain of life. Your silence was not cowardice, it was consecration. You were protecting what they could not yet see, and what they could not see was this: your next chapter, the one they don't have access to, the one already written. Fifth, every door that closed was a door that saved you. Every door that closed was a door that saved you. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the partnership that dissolved, the opportunity that went to someone else while you sat watching, confused, quietly devastated. In the moment, it felt like failure. It looked like rejection. Your nervous system cataloged it as evidence that you were not enough. But time, that ruthless and honest editor of all stories, has a way of revealing what the door was protecting you from. Developmental psychologists who study resilience, including work published through the American Psychological Association, consistently find that adaptive coping, the ability to reframe loss as redirection, is the single greatest predictor of long-term life satisfaction. The ones who are told no the most are often the ones who arrived exactly where they were meant to be. Every closed door was divine refusal. Heaven refusing to let you settle for something too small to hold your destiny. The sixth point is about what they did when they saw you rising. What they did when they saw you rising. Because there is a particular kind of enemy that does not appear until you begin to move forward. They were quiet when you were low. They were absent when you were bleeding. But the very moment you began to rebuild, they reappeared. With opinions, with warnings, with concern that had the shape of care and the texture of sabotage. They planted doubt disguised as wisdom. They asked questions designed to make you second guess. They came back wearing the face of support while carrying the energy of opposition. And you felt it. You felt the dissonance. That feeling was not paranoia. That was discernment. That was your anointing protecting itself. Research on relational aggression, particularly the work of psychologist Kipling Williams on social exclusion and re-inclusion, shows that individuals who were excluded during a person's struggle often attempt to reassert proximity during breakthrough. They come back not to celebrate you. They come back to reclaim access to what they abandoned. You are allowed to remain closed to those who were absent when it cost them something. Seventh, the waiting was not wasted. The waiting was not wasted. You have been in a season of delay that has felt unbearable at times. You have watched others accelerate past you. You have sat in what looked like stagnation and wondered if you had somehow disqualified yourself from the life you were called to. But consider what happens during a seed's waiting period. Unseen, underground, invisible to every eye above the surface. It is not idle. It is not forgotten. It is undergoing a transformation so fundamental, so cellular, so complete, that when it finally breaks through, nothing about what it was can contain what it is becoming. The ancient law of gestation is real. Every great thing, every meaningful thing, requires time beneath the surface. And the very length of your delay is a direct signal of the magnitude of what is being prepared. Small things are released quickly. Extraordinary things take time. Your waiting was not punishment. Your waiting was preparation. And the preparation is almost complete. The eighth truth. They tried to define you with your worst moment. They tried to define you with your worst moment. There was a time when you were not your best self. When you made choices from pain instead of power. When you reacted instead of responded. When you were so fractured that the version of you walking through the world was not the real you, it was the wounded you, the survival mode you, the one operating on empty, trying to look full. And they captured that version, they screenshot it, they filed it, they used it as the permanent record. But here is what Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists in history, understood about the human psyche. Integration, not perfection, is the mark of wholeness. The chosen ones are not people who never broke. They are people who broke, examined every piece, understood the fracture, and assembled themselves into something more complete than they were before. Your worst moment is not your identity. It is a chapter in a testimony, and testimony requires a before. You have lived the before. The after is already written. Ninth. The betrayal was the initiation. The betrayal was the initiation. It came from someone close. It always does. You trusted them with something real, your vision, your vulnerability, your loyalty, your time, and they took it and used it against you, or handed it to someone else, or disappeared with it without explanation. And the pain of that particular wound, the one inflicted by someone who had access, is unlike any other. It sits differently in the body. It creates a specific kind of guardedness that psychology calls betrayal trauma, a concept developed by Jennifer Fried, describing the way violations from trusted sources create lasting impacts on a person's capacity to trust their own perceptions. But here is what the research also reveals. Individuals who process and integrate betrayal trauma, who do not suppress it but metabolize it, develop a level of perceptual accuracy and relational discernment that cannot be taught. You now know things about human nature that you could not have learned any other way. You can read rooms, you can feel intentions, you can sense what is beneath the presentation. The betrayal that was meant to destroy your capacity to connect actually refined your ability to connect with the right ones, sealed ones, covenant people, the ones the divine was holding in reserve for this exact season. 10th. Something is shifting right now, and they feel it before you do. Something is shifting right now, and they feel it before you do. There is a phenomenon in quantum physics known as quantum entanglement, the principle that particles that were once connected continue to affect each other across any distance. Whatever was once connected to your frequency still responds to it. And as your frequency shifts, as you rise, as you align, as you come into the fullness of what you have been prepared for, those who were entangled with your old frequency feel the disturbance. The ones who left feel an inexplicable restlessness. The ones who betrayed you feel an unease they cannot name. The ones who underestimated you feel a pull toward your name in conversations they did not intend to have. This is not coincidence. This is not wishful thinking. This is the energetic reality of a life coming into alignment. You don't have to announce the shift. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to perform it for anyone. The shift is already happening beneath the surface, and everyone who ever had access to your energy can feel the vibration changing. There is one final point, and it may be the most important thing you hear today. You are not waiting to become someone worthy of what is coming. You are not waiting to become someone worthy of what is coming. The tendency of the chosen ones, the deeply wounded, the long-suffering, the ones who have been told repeatedly that they are too much or not enough, is to build an internal narrative that positions the blessing as conditional. When you are healed enough, when you have earned it, when you have proved to the universe or to God or to the world that you deserve it. But grace, real grace, sealed grace, covenant grace, does not operate on a merit system. It operates on assignment. You were assigned this path not because you were strong enough to handle it. You were assigned this path so that the handling of it would make you who you needed to become. And here is the truth that should settle into your bones like warmth. You have already handled it. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still breathing and building and becoming, even after everything that was designed to stop you. The worthiness was never in question. The timing was, and the timing is now. So here is where you are standing today. You are standing at the edge of the shift. Behind you, every season that broke you, every door that closed, every voice that doubted, every moment you stood alone in your own becoming. That is not your story anymore. That is your testimony. And in front of you, not as a distant dream, not as a maybe someday, but as a living, moving, already in motion reality, is everything that was sealed over your life before you were formed. The relationships that actually see you, the opportunities that are calibrated to your gifts, the peace that doesn't require explanation, the abundance that does not come with betrayal attached, the season of being known, the season of being honored, the season of watching everything that was taken, the time, the energy, the trust, the years, returned, pressed down, shaken together, running over. You are chosen, you are sealed, you are anointed, and what is coming for you cannot be stopped by what came against you. The only thing left to do now is receive it. If this transmission reached you today, if something in these words confirmed what you already knew in your spirit, do not let this moment pass without action. Subscribe to Echoes of Destiny right now, because the truths shared in this space are not for the surface. They are for the ones who are ready to go deeper. Like this video, not for the algorithm, but as a declaration that you received this today. A digital witness that the shift found you. Drop a comment below. Tell me one word that describes what is shifting for you right now. One word. Watch what it opens in you to name it. And share this with the one person in your life who has been quietly surviving, who looks composed on the outside and is carrying a world on the inside. Sometimes the most anointed gift you can give someone is a reminder that they are not forgotten, they are not behind, they are being prepared, and so are you.